In this video, I want to break down RSI and compare it directly with the indicator. The RSI is a very popular indicator. It's been used by a lot of people, and what it does is it measures the relative strength compared to recent gains and recent losses. When RSI is high, it creates these little areas where it's overbought, and when it's low, it creates these little areas where it's oversold. And these inputs are very useful for traders to determine when the tops or bottoms could be forming. And we're going to directly compare that output with the indicator. The indicator is a momentum-driven tool that I created, and its only goal is to tell you what momentum is doing on any given candle. It does so with three outputs. It has a bullish candle, a balanced candle, which is indecision, and a bearish candle. Let's focus here we're on the NASDAQ and on the daily. And if you notice here on RSI, we get this overbought section here, and the indicator itself showed the same information with a balanced candle. This is important. As you notice here, price is moving up. The indicator is showcasing this with green candlesticks, and RSI is basically saying, well, at around 50 to overbought in this zone here is when price went up, but the RSI just was increasing and the indicator was showcasing this as a green arrow. The indicator is not directly related with RSI, but it has its own system that calculates momentum. We're going to go through and look at a bunch of examples here. On the NASDAQ, on the daily, price reached this bottom here, and if you notice, the indicator showcased this as balanced. It eventually determined that, okay, we're going down, 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 and then we're not going down. Same with here. Almost, this is another situation here where we're kind of going down, 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 and then we kind of went balanced out, started to go higher. Let's see here. Here's another example. Price was increasing and then we balanced out. Price was increasing and we balanced out. And notice that any input that RSI is given, the indicator is also showing the same information to you, but it's giving you a little bit more detail on, okay, well, RSI is not going to tell you that this zone right here is balanced, but the indicator will. And this is important because if you use the indicator and RSI together, they could be a very good tool. RSI struggles with knowing what the market is doing, but it's pretty good at knowing when something is probably overextended, and that is the point of RSI. Here's another example here. Price was increasing, and then RSI flickered into overbought, and the indicator showcased this with some balanced candles. Basically, RSI doesn't really know if it's at a top or if it's going to be consolidation, but the indicator does because it's calculating momentum on a candle by candle basis. And notice here we went into balance and we never actually went to like any sort of bearish until this zone right here, but that was quickly bought back up by this balanced candle here. So we're gonna look at some other time frames. Let's remove these drawings. Let's go back to the current daily here. Let's go to the 15-minute chart so we can kind of see these zones a little bit easier. I'm just going to quickly go through and start marking stuff, and then I shouldn't have to describe every situation. So notice here we're going down, we balance out. Right there is our balance out. Here's another situation here. Here's another situation where we were going higher and we balanced out. Again, it'll be the same thing. We went down and balanced out. And notice that RSI and the indicator work really well together. Selling is happening, and you can notice here that RSI is saying, hey, maybe we're too overextended, and you could basically get into a long on almost any situation. When after the balance starts to form, we start to push up a little bit, you can enter along, and the exit could be, well, depending on how you want to look at it, if you got the full move, you could have made 278 points. And your exit, again, would have been RSI flatlining up here, and the indicator showcased that with some balance candles. That's just one example. Again, we can go over just any, this is a bit of a choppy open here. Let's see here. Yeah, again, we don't need to scroll far to see all these examples. Here's the 15-minute. RSI went, our price moved up pretty hard, and RSI said, yep, we're overbought, and then it just flatlined. This here is fantastic because without the indicator, you would have, how would you know that this zone here on the top was the top? Well, it never went bearish, so we never had a bearish candle. So you would have never shorted this. You would have just said, well, okay, that's cool. Maybe you would have taken a trade, but you would have been stopped out after this green candle here. You would have said, oh, okay, momentum is still there. And that's the same case for here. Notice here we went up, and then we never really went down. We did eventually go down. You know, here we eventually went down. But RSI by itself had no idea that this here was going to be indecision. Now, sometimes it just predicts that, yeah, it's just a straight up buy. Like in this situation, RSI dipped down low and it was a buy. And you could notice that it was a very slow grind higher. Eventually it just flipped right here with these bullish candles. And what you can also notice is that we can look at the RSI on any time frame. So this is a good little section to focus on here. RSI was increasing, or RSI was increasing here. It found a bottom, and the indicator showcased that as a balanced consolidation zone. So on the 15-minute, it was kind of choppy, but on the 5-minute, it might be a little bit clearer that, oh, okay, if we zoom in a little bit, we can kind of see that actual flip in momentum. So remember on the 15-minute, let's go back to the 15-minute and mark it out. This zone here, somewhere in this area, we went from bearish candles to consolidation before ripping higher. On the 5-minute, we can see that same thing. Well, the 5-minute also kind of shows the same RSI data relatively. Price is moving down, we consolidate out, and eventually we start to go higher. So the indicator would have still worked fantastic in this situation, but it's hard to see all the data on the 15-minute here. Now, what's cool is the indicator, we might actually be able to see this move. Let's go into aggressive mode on the sensitivity and hit OK. We can start to see a little bit more here. Okay, so we actually had a little bit more selling, and the actual, more of the actual stalling was here, which lines up a little bit better with the actual move of the market. So we were within a couple candles before it ripped higher because of the RSI and the indicator working together here. So I just figured I'd make a quick little video and showcasing how the RSI works with the indicator. The RSI itself is a fantastic tool. I've used it many times, and in fact I'll probably start using it more with the indicator here. It's fantastic at finding the extremes, and the indicator is fantastic at finding what those extremes are going to be doing. And yeah, if you guys like this, go ahead and leave a like and subscribe.